Hello everyone, how are we? Welcome back to another deadline stream. It is game week 18. Of course, it is the first week after Christmas. I hope anyone celebrating, watching had a fantastic holiday. If not, still hopefully having some time with family and friends. I hope you have had a fantastic 48 hours over the past couple of days. If you've not been around on the content, I hope you've had a fantastic week. But it is time, of course, to get back to a little bit of FPL. It is game week 18. We are just going to discuss everything you need to know. We're going to talk about my team. I've still got transfers to make. I've still got things to discuss. So there is lots to talk to all of you about. But first of all, Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you've all had a fantastic time celebrating. I had a lovely time. I'm with my parents. I'm with Holly as well, and we are off to see her family as well over the next couple of days. So lots of moving around, hence the content may have looked, sounded, or not done anything slightly different, but I appreciate all of you putting up with it over the holiday season, because I do my best to balance making sure I get all the content I can to all of you to cover everything you need to know, whilst also having some time to spend with my family and with Holly's family as well. But yes, it is definitely good to be back streaming. It hasn't helped that the week where maybe some of us have wanted to produce a little bit less content has been one of the most hectic and chaotic weeks of FPL that there has been in quite a while. Quite a lot has happened this week, lots to talk about, lots to discuss, and lots of transfers are happening with lots of price changes. But I have banged on too much as an intro. Let's say hello to some of you in the chat. Let's say hello to all of you. So if you are in, I want to know, and I also want to know, what is the best thing you've had to eat over the past 24 hours? What is the best item you have eaten over the past 24 hours? I want to know it in the chat, and we will do some of those, and we will say hello to you. Hello to DUJ, hello to TYB, hello to Fiona, hello to El Afro, hello to Boston Mike, hello to Mark. Good afternoon, good evening to Isaiah, hello to Beardy, hello to all the members and moderators in. Sam, see you as well. Thank you all for your support on the streams, on the channel over the course of the year. Thank you all very much. Let's have a look at what some of you are answering. The 511, hello, Hamza, Kabi, Tespi, Canyon, FPL, Robin, Howell, Homegrown FPL, Vinaj, Bigger, FPL, Zidane, Clipmaster, Alex, Tieno, A Tariq, Shang, Ramad, El Mimo, Mohammed, Big Six, Nawaf, Notebook. Who else have we got? Balarix, Ahmed, Karam, and Vagir. Hello to you all. Hello. Game week 18. So let's just catch up with where my team is for this week. So I made 2 early transfers. I took out Bukayo Saka for Declan Rice, and I took out Thiago for Ekitike. And yeah, unfortunately, Bruno Fernandes then went and got injured, which is far from ideal for my team, because I wouldn't have done the transfers that I did if I knew Bruno was going to get injured. Now, I know some of you would ask me, what would I have done if Bruno hadn't have got injured? I probably would have done something like Bruno to Cunha. That didn't give me enough money for the Ekitike move, so I would have had to have done a second transfer, which I think Raya to Sanchez would have given me the money. I think. I haven't done the maths on it exactly, but I'm pretty sure that the transfers I would have done was Bruno to Cunha, Raya to Sanchez, and Thiago to Ekitike would probably have been the moves, which wouldn't give me Rice, but Rice could potentially be a Semenyo replacement next week. So that's where I'm at. Unfortunately, I then made more transfers and now it looks like Richards is injured as well. I am planning on starting Richards just because Crystal Palace's clean sheet odds are much higher than Fulham's and much higher than Leeds. So if in the very small chance that Richards does make a miraculous recovery on Sunday, which looks almost impossible, but he's not red flagged yet, I would rather have Richards starting than I would rather have Anderson or Rodon. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, Harry, Richards might be on the bench, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'm going to start Richards. I think I'm going to play Richards, Van Dijk, Timber. I've still got 3 free transfers in the bank, and I think I'm only going to use one of them. I could buy Saka back, and it might not be this week. It might be next week, but I might end up buying Saka back. Because unfortunately, when there's not much to spend your money on with Bruno out injured, it might be that Saka is the player that I decide to go and get back. So just to sort of walk you through what that looks like. So I could do Bruno to Cunha this week, for example, which is my most likely move. Of course, just waiting because Man United play tonight. Cunha. And then next week, I can potentially do Semenyo back to Saka by just selling Raya. And to be honest, Raya could go to Pickford. He could go to Sanchez. So I have lots of ways. I could get back to Saka and then just go Saka and Rice. Saka, Rice, Foden, Cunha. I've still stuck with Elliot Anderson. But if I go Sanchez here, I do leave 0.6 million in the bank, which... And, you know, if Van Dijk goes in a couple of weeks to Tarkowski as an example, it leaves me a bit of money in the bank to potentially do an upgrade to Elliot Anderson in a few weeks. So I might end up going back. I might end up going back to Saka. You might end up going back to Saka. I could also do it this week. Like I could just go Bruno to Saka and sell Raya to get the spot and do Raya to Sanchez. I could do them this week. Like, who's more important this week, Saka or Cunha? I still think the chances of me wanting Cunha for the next 4 are higher than the chances of me wanting Saka back. So, I don't think I'm going to go back to Saka this week. I don't think I'm going to go back to Saka this week. No. But it's a possibility that I do it next week in place of Semenyo. But anyway, that is where my team is at. That's crazy. Crazy to go back to Saka. But sometimes, unfortunately, in this game, you have to admit when you made a mistake. And those early transfers involving selling Saka is a mistake. As much as I would love it not to be. And if Bruno is back soon, then I'm not certain it is a mistake. And I actually think once Palmer potentially is back in January, people will look to sell Saka regardless. But it might be for the next 3 weeks that having Saka in for his minutes might be the best place for me to go. Have I got a new camera? I don't. Often people say when I'm not at home that my camera quality looks better, which is never something you want to hear when I have a setup at home. But I think it's because the portable lights I have are smaller, but they're really bright. And I think that is often why it looks actually a little bit better. What's the news on Richards? So Richards was stretchered off, of course, in the game against Arsenal midweek. And we thought it was really bad. But apparently he was only taken off in a stretcher because he had needed stitches to his foot and he couldn't walk. So he's presumably had those stitches and it's just a matter of time. And Glasner said he could be back soon. And Chris Richards also posted that he'll be back soon. So I don't think Richards will play against Spurs. But if Richards was to play, I prefer him to Anderson and I probably prefer him to Rodon. In which case, I'm just going to start Richards. And if he starts, then great. If not, yeah. So I do plan on selling Bruno this week. And as much as I would like to use the other transfer this week, I don't think it makes sense. The other transfers that I looked at, as I said, was potentially buying Saka back. The other thing I could do would be to do that Bruno move. Bruno to Cunha. And then I just do Anderson down to Potts. And then I do Mark Guiu up to Bowen. I've got exact money to buy Bowen this way. The only issue with that is next week, I'm going to have to sell Semenyo, right? So Semenyo's got Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, and then he might be away. He might leave Bournemouth by the time it gets to game week 21, game week 22. So I need to be selling Semenyo. And if I do this route, I don't really have a replacement for Semenyo. I'll have nothing in the bank. It would probably be Rodgers next week, but I'm just not that sold on Rodgers. I'm just not sold on Rodgers that much. His underlying data just isn't that great. Like his XG against Man United was not bad. Like he is just massively overperforming it. So, and again, it gives me a little bit of inflexibility if I do this route. That actually next week I could even still buy Bowen. But I could do it by selling Semenyo instead because he's got to go. So at the moment, the plan will be just to do one move. And I know my caps lock is on, but the reason I do it is because there are a lot of names in the Premier League that my keyboard surprisingly doesn't recognize as words when I type in, I don't know, even when I type Haaland or Ekitike or something like that in. If you don't type it with a capital first letter, it will try and replace it, which is then not very useful. Whereas if you write in capitals on websites like Live FPL or on the FPL website or on Fantasy Football Scout to search a player's name, if you type it in capitals, it doesn't autocorrect you. Just a little hint for you all there. Alex, -4 for Bruno to Vert or -8 to bring back Saka or play Goodmanson. I mean, if you've sold Saka, I think Saka is better than Vert, so I would actually probably do that. And again, if you've sold Saka like me early, you will not want to be taking hits to buy him back. But unfortunately, it might be the best play to go and buy him back. I don't think I'm going to buy Saka back this week, but I may well do it next week. I may well go Semenyo to Saka next week. Bruno to Cunha. Elliot Anderson's fixtures actually are not that bad. He's not doing enough, but I don't think the next 4 are that bad. Well, after City. But if he gets DEFCON in the City game, I've just got to hope a few other players that other people have got in that position don't do too well. Like someone like a Harry Wilson doesn't do too well. Or like some of those other cheap defenders don't keep their clean sheets. That would be effectively the comparison to Elliot Anderson in my team. I don't think I'm going to keep Elliot Anderson for a long time, but yeah, he's going to have to stay. He's going to have to stay now, and I've just got to hope he keeps getting DEFCON and maybe he gets the odd assist with a set piece or something like that. Would I do a -4 for Thiago to Bowen? No. I actually think Thiago's all right. I sold him because it was my only way to get Ekitike, which I think is the same for most people. But he's got 3 out of the next 4 at home. Okay, he hasn't had a shot in 2 of the last 3 games, but I still don't think he's that bad. I understand it's probably because everyone else only has one route to go and get Ekitike though. That's probably the reason, right? But yeah, I'm not that down on Thiago. Farbrough, Esteve to Keane allows keeping Richards and Anderson. Yeah, I've actually also considered that, doing Rodon up to Michael Keane. That is something that I've considered, yeah. And I could do it. I could do it. Just go Rodon to Keane, get the extra depth in my defence in case Richards... Because the issue I've got, right, is if Richards is not back next week, Anderson goes away to Palace and Rodon goes away to Liverpool. So I might end up a little bit short defensively, but I could just do Anderson to Keane. Like I could even do Anderson to Keane this week. But I don't mind the idea of doing Rodon. I just don't know when Rodon's ever going to get in my team. Like game week 22, game week 25, that's probably about it. But I'm pretty sure game week 22, Richards goes away to Sunderland, and game week 25, he goes away to Brighton. So maybe he is useful there. Game week 22, Anderson plays Leeds. Game week 25, he's got Everton at home. So there are a couple of weeks that I could use Rodon in 22 and 25. But yeah, I could also do Rodon or Anderson to Keane and just get that extra defensive cover. Because you can play an Everton defender in pretty much every week between now and about game week 30. The issue with Keane, of course, is when Branthwaite comes back, right? Because once Branthwaite is back, then you're going to have an issue. then you're going to have an issue. 22, he's not actually that useful, and 25, yeah. But like, I do like them short term. I think the short term fixtures look pretty good for Everton. So yeah, I could just buy Keane. I could. Now, thank you for sending one membership. We're actually gonna let me gift 5 memberships out to those of you watching. Just literally have to have written in the chat, and you have a chance of getting a base tier membership. So drop a hello in the chat or something. And if you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. And 5 of you will win in a second. But drop a like and subscribe if you are new. And let me send 5 of those out to you now. And if someone reminds me later on, we might do 5 more. Ryan, James, who else has won? Osama, Ryan, James, Aguilar. Was that 5? 1, 2, 3, and Samir. Congratulations. Anyway, a couple of questions in the chat about injury updates to 2 key players at the moment. First of all is Harry Wilson. I think Harry Wilson will be okay. I think Harry Wilson will end up playing. Sounds like it was just a knock, like in the game that we saw on Monday night. Marco Silva says they've got to assess him, but I would expect Harry Wilson to play. It didn't look anything serious, and he did play on after the injury. The other one is Hincapié, for anyone who went there at Arsenal. He looks like he's picked up apparently a shoulder injury, which doesn't look quite as good, and there's been no real update. Like, apparently the press conference today, like, he's just given the same sort of updates that he picked up an injury against Everton. There's nothing really beneficial in that. So Hincapié, I'm less confident on. I would argue that I think Wilson will play. I'm not so certain on Hincapié. I might end up being right on one, wrong on the other way around. Marco Silva said that Wilson's injury was worse than first expected. No, he said it wasn't as bad as it first looked. He said it was better than they first thought it would be. So I think that's positive on him. Would I bench Grealish or Raul Jimenez? I'd probably play Raul Jimenez out of the 2. Yeah, probably. Would I play Alderete or Anderson? I'd play Alderete, definitely. I really like the Sunderland defenders at home to Leeds this week. I think that'll be quite a good game. There might be goals in it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sunderland at home keep a clean sheet. So I'd be playing your Sunderland defenders. If you've got an Alderete, if you've got a Mukiele, I would, I'd be looking to play them. Could I rank Wirtz, McAllister and Gakpo 1 week punt? Well, Gakpo's still a doubt, I believe. Gakpo's not back, is he? Isn't Gakpo still out? Or have I missed the press conference? He's orange flagged. Okay. I would say Wirtz, for a 1 week punt, Wirtz, McAllister, Gakpo. Probably. Yeah. Would I do Van Heck on as illness update? There wasn't really anything, to be honest. No real update on Van Heck. It's not a great fixture, though. He's away at Arsenal, so I don't imagine you're going to want to play him anyway, to be honest. Do the Bowen move? I don't think I'm going to do the Bowen move this week. I might end up buying him next week, but it will be in place of Semenyo rather than in place of Elliot Anderson. So, yeah, I'm not going to be buying Bowen this week, I don't think. As much as I really like him this week, and if I hadn't have gone early, I may well have bought Bowen this week. But, yeah, unfortunately, I can't go. I don't think I can go charging into 5 transfers when I think my team could do with more elsewhere in future weeks. -4 for Bruno, or just play Anderson. You own Wilson. I take the hit. You're going to have to sell him next week. There are other things over the next couple of weeks that we're going to want to be doing with our transfers. I probably would take the hit. If you've still got Bruno and you're looking to sell him for a hit, I probably would do it, yeah. Thought about Enzo Laffi. So Enzo Lafi's become quite popular over the past week, I'd say. He's on penalties for Sunderland. He takes some set pieces, and his minutes look more and more reliable. I don't think he's bad. Like, I'd probably prefer him to Elliot Anderson, but I think you need to temper expectations. Like, I think he's an 8th outfield player. Like, I think he's an 8th attacker. I don't think he's a 7th. I wouldn't want to be playing Luffy every single week. Like, that's the position I've put myself in with Elliot Anderson. And it's probably slightly better with Anderson because he gets 4 a lot, right? He gets DEFCON a lot, which is not great. But when there's a player like Harry Wilson banging them in. But when there isn't a player like Harry Wilson banging them in, 4 points from that 11th attacker every week is fine. A lot of people's 11th attacker blank most weeks, apart from if it's Harry Wilson or someone like that. But if you've got a less good 11th attacker to Harry Wilson, then yeah, I mean, of course, I could just do Anderson to Wilson, but I can't do that with him being flagged. Would I do a hit for Wilson, Bruno, and Richards? I'd keep Wilson, I'd bench Richards, and I'd sell Bruno, I think. With the main flagged players, I'd sell Bruno, keep Richards, keep Wilson, keep Hincapié, and sell Bruno. If you wanted to sell Hincapié because you wanted to go to a Tarkowski or something, I don't mind that. Yeah. Should I sell Szoboszlai? The issue I've got, right, and the reason I might end up buying Saka back is I can't find any midfielders that I want right now. Feel really short of good midfielders. Rice, Saka, Foden, Semenyo. I argue, and Cunha. I argue that we can't really put Rodgers in there at the moment because the upcoming fixtures are really not very good for them. Most of us don't own double Arsenal, so you can only own one of them. Semenyo's fixtures are about to get bad, and it sounds like he's on his way out of Bournemouth anyway. So there's a lot going to happen over the next couple of weeks. Like Liverpool midfielders, I'm just not that fussed by them. I see people buying Florian Wirtz, and I think that's fine. I don't feel that bad about people doing that. He's had 2 assists so far this season, and I know the data's better than that suggests, but yeah, Bruno Guimaraes I think is absolutely fine, but also you've seen over the past couple of games that Bruno Guimaraes plays as a 6 or an 8 a lot of the time, and just like Enzo Fernandez, means that there can be a stretch of games where he goes without getting any sort of attacking returns. We've seen it with Enzo when he was a good pick and now he's not, and Bruno Guimaraes has blanked over the past couple because, again, he's much better at home, but he's playing very deep that if you're box crashing midfielder, and if you box crash at the wrong time or suddenly you have to do more defensive work, it leaves, you don't end up getting as many returns. So outside of Rice, Saka, Foden, Cunha, long term, I don't know where I look at for the next mid. Now you could go Semenyo for Brentford away, Chelsea away, and then go to Rodgers, but Dewsbury Hall, again, like he'd be great if he was fit and available, but he is injured. That's the issue. Harry Wilson, I should probably put in the conversation. Yeah, Harry Wilson, I would definitely start. I'd start him over Michael Keane if you've got him. West Ham really struggling to defend. They don't really have a left back. Yeah. Isaiah, let me take a look. Let me have a look. You still need to free hit 4 free transfers. On option 1 is Bruno to Rice. Option 2 is Bruno to Dewsbury Hall. Is Bruno, Dewsbury Hall, Richard, Saka, Rice, Palmer, Anderson, Calafiori in. I don't like buying Palmer yet. I'd rather free hit than buy Palmer. So probably just Bruno to Rice. Yeah, the Palmer thing's interesting. Maresca said he's back and okay to play 90 minutes against Villa if needed. But he also then didn't say what that means for the game afterwards at home to Bournemouth just a few days later. I don't think we're in a position where Palmer's ready to play 90 minutes 3 times in a week. No. Palmer is a good buy for 1 week, but then you might have an issue next week. You're thinking Bruno to Cunha and Thiago to Ekitike. What's my plan move? Yeah, so I think Bruno to Cunha and Thiago to Ekitike is probably the 2 biggest transfers being made this week. It's probably the biggest combination of moves. I'd be interested to know in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you've done it, and put a 2 in the chat if you haven't done something like that. It's like selling Bruno and Thiago, buying Cunha and Ekitike. Take a -4 for an Everton defender or just play Anderson. I'd probably just play Anderson. See, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1-1. There's a lot of people like, there's probably the biggest combination of transfers this week is Bruno to Cunha and Thiago to Ekitike. So I've got absolutely no problem with anyone wanting to make those. I will have made them in a roundabout way, but Bruno to Cunha, Thiago to Ekitike, and then also Saka to Rice apparently is my third transfer, which is not ideal, but we'll see where it lands me next week. Because with 3 frees, if I only use one this week, I'll still have 3 free transfers next week. So I will be in a position to still restructure my squad, buy Bowen, buy Saka next week if I want to. So yeah, this has happened a couple of times this season, right? Earlier on in the season, and I think it was about game week. It was when Gabriel got injured. I was rolling a lot of transfers up into the point where Gabriel got injured, and a lot of people were saying, Harry, you should be more aggressive with your transfers. And 100% I would have gained more points if I'd been aggressive with those transfers. But once that Gabriel injury happened, I was very happy that I had lots of transfers available. And now we've done the same thing, that I could have been much more aggressive with my AFCON transfers when we got them. But now Bruno is injured. I'm very happy that I've got lots of transfers in the bank in order to be able to deal with it, in order to be able to restructure my squad. Ekitike just looks like a great buy. Yeah, I mean, recently he's been very good, which is also an added impact. But the reason he was very good at the beginning of the season, and the reason lots of people didn't go there is because of the risk of minutes when Isak was there, right? And that was the same. And then it did become an issue that he sort of was in and out of the team. Then he was out, and then he was back in. And now, like, even this upcoming fixtures, I think the FDR is a little bit misleading on what this run actually looks like. Like, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley in the next 5 is great. Fulham away is absolutely fine. Arsenal away is not great. Bournemouth away is fine. Newcastle at home is absolutely fine. City at home, also fine. Home games are fine. Away at Sunderland, away at Forest, away at West Ham, away at Wolves. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of us end up keeping Ekitike all the way up until when Alexander Isak returns, and maybe he's a sell on wildcard. Now, we might end up needing the money for something else, and we'll have to wait and see on that when someone like a Cole Palmer comes back, or, you know, when Salah comes back from AFCON. What does that do when Szoboszlai's back? Yeah, when there's something else to shake it up, then maybe. But right now, I think Ekitike just looks like a great buy. I'm going to start Richards. I don't expect him to play, but their clean sheet percentage is much higher than both Fulham and Leeds. So if Richards did somehow recover, I would rather Richards in my team than any of the other two. So I expect I get Anderson off the bench. It looks like Richards will be unavailable, but I'm going to play him just in case he ends up being okay. What do I think if you've still got the triple captain left? So we did speak about this in the video last week and then on the complete guide, that you've got really unlucky if you didn't triple captain, because I said that Haaland was the best one last week. And outside of that, the best option was Bruno at home to Wolves. And some people had to play a different chip last week, which meant that the second best option was Bruno next week. So I think you've got 4 options for triple captain left. You've got Haaland this week, Haaland next week. I'd expect Haaland to score in at least one of the next 2 games. If not, if I told you Haaland scored 2 goals over the next 2 games, you'd probably say, yeah, that's fair. Then you could do Ekitike this week, or you could do Cunha next week. So it depends if you want Haaland or you want to go against him with either Ekitike or Cunha. The only issue with it is Haaland before the Bruno injury, I think next week there was going to be a decent chunk of people who went Bruno over Haaland based on Haaland going away to Sunderland and Bruno being at home to Wolves. I don't think that many people will go Cunha. So if you're not going Haaland, you really are backing against... If you're going triple captain on someone else, you're backing against who will be probably the most popular captaincy option at the moment. Boston Mike, you're currently on a 5-3-2 with Senesi, O'Reilly, Timber, Van Dijk, Anderson, Foden, Rice, Saka. Would I bench one of them for Harry Wilson? I would definitely play Harry Wilson over either Anderson or Senesi, 100%. If you've got Harry Wilson, yes, I would definitely be looking to play him. Would I do Hincapié to Calafiori for free? We'll leave him with 2 free transfers already done. Thiago to Ekitike. It's a bit sideways if Hincapié doesn't start. It does start. The only benefit to that is you're going to have to sell Hincapié eventually. I'm not certain Gabriel will be back for the next 2. He might be back after that. But Hincapié is only a short-term option. So if you don't have any cover in your defence, then I've got not much of an issue. Adam, Merry Christmas. I hope you'll like my Christmas present to you of starting Richards this week. I thought you'd like that. I almost text you, but I didn't. What transfers have I made? So I did Saka to Rice and I did Thiago to Ekitike. Rory, 39 months and counting as a member, now a moderator of the channel. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well and a very Merry Christmas to you. I'm going to do Bruno to Cunha, I think. The only reason I haven't done it yet is the early price drop. The early price rise for Cunha, I wasn't going to go early on. It happened on like Sunday. Then Bruno dropped on Monday and I wasn't going to go before the Arsenal game. And then they haven't changed in price since. The Bruno drop last night didn't impact my selling price. So I haven't needed to go early on it. And then they're the early game, right? If for whatever reason, like let's say Bruno turned up at the stadium tonight, like in the very, very, 1% chance that Bruno turned up in the stadium, then I would not sell him, of course, right? But that's not going to happen. Why not Gordon? I just don't love his minutes over Christmas. When they're playing twice a week for 2 straight weeks, Harvey Barnes is right there. Alanga's right there. Jacob Murphy's right there. I don't think Anthony Gordon plays all of the next 4. I don't think he starts all of the next 4. I expect him to get on the pitch in all of the next 4. But do I expect him to start all of the next 4? No, I don't. Depleted your free transfers. It sounds like a lot of people have. Again, we did this question earlier on in the chat. Let's do another one. Let me know in the chat a number. How many transfers will you have once you've done all of your transfers for game week 18? So don't include the one you're going to get next week for 19. So 0 is a possible answer. 0 to 5 effectively. How many transfers will you have in the bank when you go to game week 18? You're already on a -4. Ekitike and Cunha in before Bruno, and you've taken -8 to replace Bruno or wait. Play Anderson and Anderson. I mean, if there's a midfielder you like you could go Rice, then I would. If there's not a midfielder you like, then I wouldn't. Yeah, so like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 3, 1, 1. There's someone with 4, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 4, 0. Someone's on -4. Like, I'm seeing about maybe 5% of people having more than 2 transfers available, which technically puts me in that bracket, although I should probably be using more than I am, but I'm not. Yeah, I could have really done with a wild card or a free hit this week, because I would have just played the free hit and then sold Bruno next week probably. But yeah, it is what it is. I suppose the benefit to not having the free hit is you gain the value on someone like an Ekitike, because I'm pretty sure I bought Ekitike at I think I bought Ekitike at 8.7. 8.7, he's already 9. And Rice has only risen once, to be fair. But Ekitike, I've gained a fair wad of value on him. Fair word of value. Tavernier or Anderson first sub? I'd rather have Tavernier, so Tavernier is better than Anderson. Why not Ekitike captain? I still just am not certain I trust Liverpool to score and haul, especially without the likes of Szoboszlai. Like, I think Ekitike is good, but I don't think I trust him for captaincy yet. Yeah. Thank you all very much for joining, by the way. There's 4,000 of you in. 500 of you have liked. So if 3,500 of you could drop a like on the stream and help us hit 1,000 likes, that would be fantastic. Will Ramsdale start or Pope this week? I wouldn't be surprised if Pope's back. I wouldn't be surprised if Pope's back, but you're not going to know before the deadline. But it sounds like he's done enough training this week that we may well have Pope back. Rodgers in, red hot form. Chelsea away, Arsenal away. I think I'm going to just let the prices go and I'll revisit him in game week 20. I don't think that, game week 20. I don't like the next two enough. You like the look of Pickford? Yeah, when I sell David Raya in a couple of weeks, probably, I will either go for Pickford or I will go for Sanchez. The thing with the Arsenal defence, right, is people are jumping off, and I do get it. They're very expensive at the moment, but I do think when game week 22 rolls around, Forest away, United at home, Leeds away, Sunderland at home, Brentford, I think this is a really good run again. I think the next 4 is quite difficult, and then I think it gets better. So I might end up having to sell David Raya, Adam. I know. What is happening? I'll buy another goalkeeper who can paint floors and ceilings. What to do with Minter? I'd be looking to probably move him on. If you have the ability to bench Minter and have him back for the next 2 after, I think they've got Burnley, West Ham, then you can. But yeah, he's not looked great. He's really not. Bench 1 of Enzo, Margui, and Bruno Guimaraes. I'm pretty sure they're all in my benching ranking. So let me put that up. Who was it? Bruno Guimaraes, Margui, and I can't remember the last one. But I think they're all on there. Rodgers or Bruno from Newcastle. I'd rather Bruno Guimaraes for the next 2, but long term I'd probably take Rodgers now. Will I buy Saka back? Maybe. He may well be my Semenyo replacement next week. Yeah, I've got the money for it. I can do Raya to Sanchez to free up the Arsenal spot, and Semenyo to Saka. It'll be 2 of my 3 transfers. I could even buy an Everton defender as well if I wanted to. So yeah, I might well. Planning to transfer out Thiago for Ekitike. Yep. And finance it by transferring out Minter and Semenyo to either Rice and Wilson or Cunha and Lafille. If you're going to have to play them every week, Rice and Wilson is definitely better than Cunha and Lafille. Because I don't want Lafille. If you've got Lafille and Mark Guiu, then go Rice and Wilson. Whereas if you've got if Lafille is going to be your 8th, then that's fine. But I wouldn't want Enzo Lafille as your 7th attacker. It's kind of the situation I've left myself in with Anderson. But Wirtz worth looking at? Not really. I understand why some people like him. The fixtures are there, but he feels like a very short-term punt. And you're really just hoping that he turns around the form that we've seen. Maybe. I'd rather go Cunha than Wirtz. Cunha is great for bonus. He's their main goal threat. He might be on penalties. So there's a lot going for Cunha, which I'm not certain is going for Wirtz at the same time. I don't think. I think people are buying... Here's a way of saying it, right? If Cunha had Wolves at home and then Newcastle at home, whereas Wirtz had a slightly harder fixture this week, people wouldn't be buying Wirtz. It's because people are looking at the fixture this week, I think. And that's their best replacement. And I understand it. I don't think he's a bad buy, but I'd go Cunha over Wirtz. Yeah, personally. That's my plan. I'm selling Bruno and I'm almost certain I'm going to buy Cunha unless there's something between now and the deadline that... changes my mind. Would I start Miley or Rodon? Probably Rodon. I wouldn't play Lewis Miley. Yeah, probably Rodon. And just hope that Sunderland look like they're going to struggle to score goals whilst they've got key players at AFCON. Going Bowen, as much as it pains me to say it, and I've banged on about buying Bowen this week, I can't do it. I don't think I can charge in using all of my transfers this week, leaving myself with a Semenyo issue next week that I can't really fix. So as much as I would recommend buying Bowen if you could, I just don't think it's the right thing to do with my team. So, yeah. Surely you think Rodon has a better upside than Anderson? I wonder what the clean sheet odds are this week. Oh, I didn't even tweet my stream. I know Oscar tweeted the clean sheet odds. Leeds are actually above Fulham. Maybe it should be, but Anderson's great for DEFCON, right? Whereas Rodon isn't. Like, Rodon's hitting 2-pointers all the time now. Like, he's not getting any DEFCON. Like, he's not even hitting, like, he's hit 9, 7, 9, 9, 6. To be fair, like, 9's pretty close. Whereas Anderson is just a machine. Like, 12, 14, okay, 7, 8, 15, 15, 13. Anderson's just got that higher floor, whereas I understand that maybe Rodon's more likely to haul against Sunderland than Anderson is against West Ham, but I think I'm going to stick with Anderson. That's an interesting one. Maybe Rodon is better than Anderson. Maybe Rodon's better. Are they all at 3 o'clock tomorrow? Ooh, Sunderland Leeds. I could keep my Leeds defender ready for Super Sunday. Because the issue I've got is if, let's say Richards doesn't play, I've got no one on Sunday. And I don't really like that very much. Maybe Rodon. Who would you play, Rodon or Anderson? Who would you play, Rodon or Anderson? Rodon does have a bit of goal threat. I do appreciate that, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, one sec. Best Bruno Fernandes replacement for 18-19. Probably Cunha, probably maybe Wirtz. Cunha or Wirtz. I still think they're the best short term, probably the best long term. Anderson. Sorry, yeah, I asked a question, then I didn't look at the responses. You wouldn't touch Leeds away from home. That's probably true. Away, they drew at Brentford. I mean, it doesn't tell me the scores on here anymore. Calvert-Lewin, low-key a beast. I agree. We spoke about him on the FPL show. I like Calvert-Lewin. I just think the next 4 are not great. I think from game week, 22 onwards, the fixtures start to get a bit better and we might revisit him then. But right now, yeah, I don't think the fixtures are good enough. Oh, you play Rodon over Forrest Anderson. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to stick to Forrest Anderson. Like, just hope he gets DEFCON, 4-pointer. The benefit to having a midfielder with DEFCON versus a defender with DEFCON is they don't start losing points the more goals they concede. So if they both concede twice, then Anderson outscores him. You're sort of concerned about the free hit team I showed you yesterday. Fair. I think I'd go a Leeds defender. I went to Dubravka. If you've got money, then I definitely upgrade to Dubravka. It did have Harry Wilson in it, which you could always differentiate from if you don't want to take the gamble on it. So yeah, that's up to you on some of those injury risk players in that. So Grealish or McAllister? I'd rather Grealish. I don't love the McAllister hype or love, to be honest. Is Fofana worth 4.4? Long-term fixtures look great. Yes, he probably won't play every game though. He might miss the odd game, but at 4.4, I don't think you can go too far wrong with Fofana at Chelsea. No. Don't think you can go too far wrong. Thiago and a 7 million midfielder, or Calvert-Lewin and Cunha. Well, then probably Calvert-Lewin and Cunha, I'd say. Because I don't know who that 7 million sub midfielder would be. You'd probably end up going down to Harry Wilson. Like, I looked at midfielders under 7 million. And I think Bruno Guimaraes just about fits it. Outside of that, is there really anyone? I like Harry Wilson, of course, but apart from Harry Wilson, you already took a -4. Would I still do Fernandes to Cunha? If it improves your team this week, I would do it irrespective of what other transfers you've done. Yeah. Best 4 million defender. Is Alderete back down to 4 million? Probably one of the Leeds ones, Sunderland ones, if you can afford them. Alderete if he's dropped in price again. Or Mukiele if you can afford him. Midfielder's under 7 million, not Cherky. His minutes are just a little bit all over the place, though. And like, they've got a lot of games coming up, and Pep's been very positive on him. I do agree, but yeah. Yeah. Cunha wouldn't be better next week. Cunha has a much better fixture next week, right? And if Bruno wasn't injured, I probably wouldn't be doing Bruno to Cunha. I'd probably be waiting and doing Semenyo to Cunha. But I've got to replace Bruno this week. Now, you could go to someone else for 1 week and then go to someone else and then go to Cunha next week. But I think a lot of us are understanding why short-term punts, booking in transfers when everything looks fine, might not always be the best plan, because in a couple of weeks you'll be hit by something which you aren't expecting, and then you're forced to deal with it with hits or whatever else it might be. So, yeah. I would just go Cunha now. If he's the one you want long term, I think that's fine. I think the fixtures are all right. I think from next week when he walks into Wolves, Leeds and Burnley, even City at home is not the end of the world. I think there's Champions League in between that, and I'm pretty sure that City will have to win that, won't they? Pretty sure that they're not high enough up. Oh, they're 4th. But if they don't win it, they need 1 win. So they need 1 win from their last 2. Minter, I wouldn't be buying Minter now if I hadn't got him already. Would I do Richards to Keane on a bench boost for a -4? Probably, because Keane's also quite a good long-term pick. Or medium-term until Branthwaite comes back. Would I start 2 from Senesi, Richards and Andersen, or all 3? I'd probably bench Andersen and have him sub in for Richards if he doesn't play. If United don't win, it's crazy. Yeah, but it's against Newcastle. I wouldn't be surprised with the issues that United have got if Newcastle do win that game. I don't think it's as bad for people with Gordon and Bruno Guimaraes as maybe it first looked. Do I think Enzo starts? Yes, I think we really missed him against Newcastle, if I'm honest. So I hope Enzo comes back in. I don't know exactly where it will be. It will probably be in place of Gusto, and Reece James goes back to right back. But if Enzo Maresca really wants Reece James in midfield, then Enzo's the one that's going to drop out. But I'd rather Reece James at right back, Enzo in the middle, and drop Gusto. As much as Gusto's been pretty good for us. Some super chats. Let me go and check these out. Rice for Reinders or Wilson? I'd sell Reinders to Rice, yeah. Cunha or Enzo. Or Rice for Reinders or Wilson, Cunha for Enzo. Yeah, I do Rice for Reinders and Cunha for Enzo. On bench boost, would I go for Konate to Virgil van Dijk for free to not take the risk? Probably not. Probably not. There's not been anything concrete on those Van Dijk rumours of Van Dijk Konate rumours have there. There's just been a lot of speculation on Konate. So I probably wouldn't use a transfer on that. You still have the bench boost, but you have Bruno and Richards and no transfers left. I'd probably sell Bruno for a hit this week and then bench boost 19 potentially with Richards and hope he plays. I probably would look at something like that. Yeah, Slot didn't mention the Konate thing in his press conference. It's just a Twitter report. So I probably wouldn't use a transfer to fix it, just based off some tweets, probably. Free hit, Verts or Rice? Free hit, I'd definitely go Verts. Wildcard, I'd go Rice. Free hit, I definitely would go Verts. Why not transferring Bruno? I'm going to sell him to Cunha. I'm just going to wait until closer in case there's any leaks on Man United. Yeah. That Anderson versus Rodon thing's really got me thinking. It's really got me thinking. Who should I play? Who's better? Both away from home. Anderson just much better for DEFCON. But Sunderland are probably easier to get DEFCON against, right? Why didn't I sell Bruno yesterday? He dropped in price. So he wasn't actually predicted to drop in price last night. So he was nowhere near it either. So I didn't know. And actually the drop didn't impact my selling price. So I didn't need to sell him. The fact that I sell him today or yesterday, I missed the price drop that impacted me. I think it was on Tuesday or Monday. I think it might have been Tuesday. Rice or Cunha long term? Rice long term. Cunha short term. Yeah. Bench one of Alderete, Chalobah, O'Reilly, Keane. Wow, I'd want to play them all. I'd probably bench Chalobah. With the form that Villa are in, I'd play Alderete, I'd play O'Reilly, and I'd play Michael Keane, I think. But I have been more negative on the Chelsea defence this season than I know I should have been. When am I planning on getting an Everton defender in? It might be next week. I could do it this week. Anderson double move to Bowen is an easy decision. Anderson to Potts and Mark Guiu to Bowen. The issue with that, as I've said, is it leaves me with nowhere to go from Semenyo next week. So I'd have to play Semenyo away at Chelsea, which is not the end of the world. But it also leaves me no money to do anything defensively. If Richards is not back for Fulham at home, I then have Anderson away at Palace, which is maybe not the worst with the amount of games Palace have got. Or I play Rodon away at Liverpool. So yeah. That's where I'm at. That's why I don't think I'm going to buy Bowen this week. I might well do it next week, but I might buy him in place of Semenyo next week. That's what I'm looking at. I might buy him in place of Semenyo next week. We are just going to put the stream in subscriber only mode. You literally have to subscribe for 1 second to start using the chat. So please subscribe if you haven't already and drop a like on this stream. We are less than 100 likes away from 1,000. Thank you all very much for your support. I do hope you've all had a lovely, lovely Christmas as well for all of you and all of your family. Hassan, let me take a look. My apologies. I'm on a very small screen when I'm not at home and I do my best to see everything going on. Would I do Thiago to Ekitike for a hit? If you think you'll want to do it next week regardless, then yes. I think yes. Yeah. I saw live FPL explain it. Absolutely fair enough. Yeah. Absolutely fair enough. I shivers. Semenyo and Wilson. 1, keep 18. To Cunha and Laffy, 19. 2, to Cunha and Laffy, 18. 3, to Vert. I would keep Semenyo and Wilson this week. Yeah, I wouldn't be selling Wilson. I think he'll be all right. And I wouldn't sell Semenyo. I just don't know exactly where I'm going to go from Semenyo. I mean, if you can do Semenyo to Cunha in one move, then I potentially would. But yeah, I don't think I'd be doing it for if it forces another transfer. Play Rolfs and Michael Keane or put Pickford and Mukiele. Which combination do I prefer? Rolfs and Keane or Pickford and Mukiele? Short term, Rolfs and Keane is better, but long term, once Keane might lose his place, Pickford and Mukiele is probably the better option. If you're on wildcard, I'd go Pickford, Mukiele. If you're not and you're making a transfer, I would probably rather do Rolfs to Pickford, I think. Bruno Guimaraes or Gordon for a hit. And which, I'm not sure I'd be doing that. And which is the best option for the next few game weeks? I'd rather Bruno Guimaraes. I just think there's a risk of minutes for Gordon with the amount of fixtures that they've got to play. I think that's where I'm at. Semenyo to Gordon is easy next week. For a midweek round of fixtures, against Burnley when it could easily be Harvey Barnes. I think I disagree. I think buying Newcastle attackers next week is really difficult. So they play. Where do they play? So they play Friday, which is not bad, but then they play Tuesday, right? Friday, Tuesday, Sunday. Friday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday. If you think Anthony Gordon's starting all 4 of those games, I mean, you might be right, but he might also not. Jack, thank you for joining as a top tier member. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you go. If you need instructions on how to get all the benefits of being a member, go and check out the first sort of couple of minutes on any of the recent members videos on member streams. There is a sort of intro video played at the beginning of all of them. Rodon and Anderson and bench Elliot Anderson versus City. I could play a back 4 and bench Elliot Anderson. I could do that, but I think I'm going to stick with... I could play... I could do it like this. I could do it like that, but I don't think it's going to make much difference because I'm not expecting Richards to turn up. I don't think. With Hincapié, Wilson and Richards, good to free hit 18. Yeah, I don't mind that. The issue you've got is they might end up, Hincapié and Wilson may end up just playing, and then there's not really much of a point of a free hit. But you could go without them, and it would just ease your stress of having to deal with them. So yes. Yes. Captain Ekitike or Haaland. Ekitike or Haaland. Captain Haaland. As much as I like the shout of Ekitike captain, I just don't think I want to be backing against Haaland. Haaland is on great form. City create him chances. We've seen it over the past few weeks that backing against Haaland is a really difficult thing to do. I'd rather, if I was on triple captain, I still think I'd put it on Haaland over Ekitike. Is Van Dijk worth a hit? I'd be more inclined to sell Van Dijk than to buy him at the moment. So no. As much as some of the short-term fixtures are good, they are just so incredibly frustrating. Thoughts about Klein as a cheap defender from next week to enable midfield upgrade of Tavernier to Gordon? I wouldn't do that. The reason is the next few fixtures for Palace are not great. He can't play every week, so there will be rotation there. And Daniel Munoz will probably be back in January. So yeah, I would look elsewhere. I think Esteve might even be the same price. He's flagged, but at least he's going to keep his place long term. Haaland keeps beating the alternative captains. Not a chance. I don't captain him. Yeah, I agree. That's the issue, right? Is he keeps beating it. He keeps beating it. I keeps beating it. Keeps beating it. Right. Raya, Tarkowski, Timber, Van Dijk, Cunha, Enzo, and Dye. Go for Bowen by selling and Dye and Tarkowski. I wouldn't sell Tarkowski, no. I would sell Enzo and I'd sell and Dye. Yeah, I'd sell Enzo and I'd sell and Dye. Free hit. Rolfs, Saliba. I wouldn't... Yeah, I'd rather Calafiori than Saliba. Kanate, I wouldn't do either. He's a slight doubt. Van Dijk, Saka, Cunha, Foden, Cherky, Rice, Ekitike, Haaland. I think it's fine. Even if I do Kanate to Mukiele and go for Alisson in goal or something like that. I'd want triple Liverpool on free hit. I'd want probably triple City, maybe even triple Arsenal. I do think there's a bit of Arsenal will be out for blood a little bit with the fixture that they've got. Exact team is mine. Would I bench boost? I don't think my bench looks that much better. I don't think it looks any better next week. But you don't have Richards. If I had my bench boost left, I'd probably just save it till next week and hope that it all sorts itself out. Richards is expected to be out, but back next week. I am also going to be at the Forest game tomorrow. Holly's family are all Forest fans, so we are going to Forest City. And so I think I should probably have Elliot Anderson in my starting lineup for that game. Bruno and Ronaldo to Cunha and Keane for a -4 to bench boost 18 and free at 19. Bruno and Ronaldo to Cunha and Keane for a -4. Bruno and Ronaldo to Cunha and Keane. Yes, I think that's fine. Yeah. Ekitike. Does Ronaldo not start? Can you not just play him on bench boost? If he doesn't, and I've missed that, then yeah, do the hit. Ekitike is worth a shot for captain this week. He's second in my ranking, so he's right up there. He is, my second favourite captaincy option this week, but I wouldn't go against Haaland this week, I don't think. Would I do Dewsbury Hall to Vert versus Bruno Guimaraes versus Gordon? This is my issue. Outside of the obvious ones, I struggle to find midfielders. I think I'd go Bruno Guimaraes out of that list, but I think you can make your transfers next week. Just leave Bruno. My team looks horrible if I leave Bruno. I mean, if Cunha blanks tonight, then yeah, that will be the way I should have gone, right? But I'm going to want to sell, because I imagine Bruno's set to drop in price tonight, isn't he? I presume Bruno's set to drop and Cunha's going to rise tonight. In which case, oh no. Interestingly, Cunha isn't predicted to rise and Bruno isn't predicted to drop. Interesting. Cunha's predicted to rise tomorrow. And Fernandes is predicted to drop tomorrow. Interesting. It might happen tonight once everyone gets their new transfers. Bruno dropped last night, so safe for now. Yeah, but once the new game week resets, it could easily accelerate again. You're tempted to gamble Semenyo to Gakpo and have Ekitike, Van Dijk, Gakpo. I think I'd just be keeping Semenyo for 1 week. I don't mind if you want to go for a Liverpool attacker. But, yeah. Will Wilson start? I think so. My prediction is Wilson starts. My prediction is Hincapié starts. So Wilson I'd have about 70%. Hincapié I'd have about 60%. Richards I'd have about 10%. Bruno I'd have about 1%. I don't know if there's anyone else I've missed there. Would I start Reece James, Senesi, Richards, take a -4? I'd probably just play Reece James. Yeah, I wouldn't be taking a hit. If you wanted to do Senesi to Michael Keane, I do think that's a transfer that works quite well. The Bournemouth fixtures don't look great going forward, and the Everton ones do look pretty good. There is a slight worry that Senesi is also up for contract in the summer, and there's a chance he could leave in January. There is a period from about game week 24 onwards where I do think Senesi might be popular again. Wolves away, Villa at home, Everton away, West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Brentford at home, Burnley away, United at home. This is a really nice run for Bournemouth. So you could end up going back to him, but I would be looking to sell Senesi for the short term, I think. My planned transfers is just to do Bruno to Cunha now. Yeah. Any triple captain advice? It would be Haaland this week, Haaland next week, Ekitike this week, or Cunha next week. Those would be my options that you've got. Who's a sell first? Would I sell O'Reilly or Virgil van Dijk? I wouldn't sell either. I'd be keeping both. I think O'Reilly's probably a better long-term option than Van Dijk, but Van Dijk is almost certainly better for the next two. Wolves at home, Leeds at home is better for Van Dijk. But if we get here and Van Dijk, I mean, if Konate's out, maybe not the end of the world, but if Joe Gomez is still not fit, then yeah. Their defence, I would much rather O'Reilly than Van Dijk long term. I'm not that fussed by owning Van Dijk. It's not been particularly fun. Would I do Enzo and Ndai and 0.2 million? Also have Minter, Semenyo, Cunha, Haaland, Gui, Ekitike, and attack. I'd probably sell Minter, Enzo, and Ndai this week. I'd probably take them all out. You've got Semenyo, Cunha, Haaland. So I would do Enzo and Ndai, Minter, sell one of them, probably buy Foden, sell another one, buy Rice, and then buy a cheap option in the third spot. Probably whoever you can afford in the third spot. Your rank is 1.1 million. Do you captain Ekitike? I probably wouldn't. I would always advise captaining the player you think will score the most points this week. And if that's Ekitike, then great. But if not, then no. Virgil van Dijk is getting a 17-pointer this week. I've been promised a 17-pointer every week since I bought Virgil van Dijk, and it's never materialised, so I don't expect it. I would take anything above 2 at this point. Anything above 3 would be nice. Saka or Bowen? Saka. I mean, there's a big price difference between the two, right? And that's an impact, but I'd rather Saka, especially with the Bruno injury now. Would I sell Enzo Fernandez to Stack to fund Goodmanson to Tarkowski, or hold Enzo and just get Keane? I probably would just bin Enzo because I don't think Stack's a worse pick than Enzo, and he's $1.5 million cheaper. So, I mean, you could also look at Enzo Lefebvre at Sunderland. He's 4.9, I think, might be the same price as Stack. You might have to go Stack, but yeah. Kanate injury is just a Twitter rumour, so I can't really advise not just keeping him and playing him. I'm not sure I'd be buying him new, but yeah, I think if you've got him... I think if you've got Kanate, you just keep him and you play him and you hope the rumours are wrong. Should we sell Szoboszlai, and if so, who for? Again, if you're not buying Rice, Foden, Saka or Cunha, I would just keep him and have him there next week. Because I actually think he might be popular again next week once he's got the suspension out of the way. On Virgil van Dijk, who to bench then? Van Dijk, Senesi, Marguerite or O'Reilly? I'd bench Senesi away. Their defensive record away from home is... not good, Bournemouth, so... Should I take a -4? You have Wilson, Richards, Bruno, and Hincapié. Wilson, Hincapié, I would just keep them play and hope they play. Richards, I'd bench, and Bruno, I'd sell. That's where I'm at with a lot of the flagged players this week. Harry, has Hincapié trained? We don't know. Arsenal have given nothing away. They're not really going to. If you've got good cover, then keep him. If you don't have good cover, then sell him because he's going to be a sell at some point over the next couple of games anyway. What about Frimpong? I think he's a fine short-term punt. Long-term, Bradley will be back. Gomez will be back. Long-term, he's not nailed. Best triple captain this week? Probably Haaland. If you don't want to do Haaland, then Ekitike. Hence probably the question, but I would probably still... for me, Haaland's the best captain, so as a result, he's the best triple captain. If you want to do something slightly different, then Ekitike would probably be the one that I would go with. Isn't Semenyo a good option if going to City? The issue is there'll be a period where he doesn't start. There'll be a period where he goes in and... Yeah, I think there'll be a period where he goes in and he doesn't start. And I think there'll be a period of a few games where he's at City and just sits on the bench. So I think Semenyo is going to be a sell. And there might even be a game where he's at Bournemouth and then he's not in the squad. The reason I'm pausing is I'm trying to think what it means for my team. Because someone even mentioned in my group chats, asked, do we even think he plays this week? I'm almost certain he does. But Yeah. I expect him to play, but I expect him to be a sell soon. My plan is to keep Semenyo for this week and probably sell next week. When do I play Minter this week or Anderson? Would I play Minter or Anderson? I would play Anderson, I think. Free hit this week or next? It depends. Probably next. If you've made lots of early transfers to gain lots of value, then I probably would just go next. Is Cunha the best mid to buy for bench boost 18 for a hit? I mean, I don't imagine the midfielder you're buying is going to be part of the bench boost. If you're going to free hit 19, then maybe not, because you're losing the Wolves at home game. So you're maybe wanting... I actually think Rodgers, if you're free hit 19, I actually think Rodgers is maybe a better buy than Cunha. Now, over the other games, maybe Cunha's better, but you're taking out Arsenal away, so you're probably losing the best fixture that you want to lose for Rodgers, whereas you're also losing the best fixture you'd want to play Cunha in. So if you're on free hit next week, then maybe consider Rodgers over Cunha, I think. Rice and Rodgers, who's long-term? Both of them are long-term. I think Rice is probably the one I'd go with, though. I mean, he's the one I went with. Should I stick with double Arsenal defence for the next few weeks? I think the next few are the weeks that you could look to do something else. But are you going to sell them and maybe buy them back again? Yeah, that's the thing with Arsenal. And the reason that one of the things I was looking at doing this week with my team was actually selling Raya. But one of the things I looked at was, if my team's in a bit of disarray, double Arsenal defense is never going to be an issue, right? It's never going to be the biggest problem in my team. So why am I selling that rather than prioritizing transfers to fix other stuff in my team? So I think I might end up with double Arsenal defence for a while. If not, Raya might go. Timber will probably stay. Let's see what happens. Surely Bruno for Rodgers. I mean, Chelsea away, Arsenal away in the next two. He's massively overperforming his data. Yeah, I think Rodgers is a good buy, but I think it's being overhyped based off back-to-back braces from low XG chances. Xhaka or Bruno Guimaraes. Probably Bruno G. Not tempted with the Ekitike captain. I think he's the second best captain in the game, but I don't feel particularly tempted by it, if I'm honest. I think I've done enough this week just to play it safe, I think, probably. Would I start Rodon or Alderete? Alderete, definitely. The Sunderland defence at home is pretty good, so I would play Alderete. If you've got Mukiele, I really like him this week. Start Dubravka or Verbruggen. It should be in my goalkeeper benching ranking up in the top right in just a moment. But I'd play Dubravka. Gordon, thoughts? Minutes risk over all of these fixtures, basically. Salem, let me take a look. You've got 3 free transfers and you want to bench boost. You have Rodon, Dubravka, Gui, and Estev. Roll and bench boost next week, or just play it and make one transfer and playing it. I think Rodon, Dubravka, Gui, and Estev is fine. You have Wilson. I think I'd just bench boost that. I don't know who your transfer is going to be on. I know Estev is flagged, but I probably wouldn't use a transfer to swap him, I don't think. Semenyo to who in 19? I might go Saka. I might sell him down and go Bowen, or I might go Rodgers. The issue with Rodgers is I don't really have the cover on my bench. I'd have to upgrade probably Anderson to someone better and hope Richards is okay. So Rodgers is fine long term, but he's got Arsenal next week, which is not great. It's not great. But Rodgers from 22 does look pretty good. Like the Villa fixtures from 22 are pretty good. Like Forest at home, Palace away, Everton at home, Newcastle away, Brentford at home. Like I think the long-term Rodgers fixtures are pretty good. It's not a great time to buy him. You're just buying away at Chelsea and away at Arsenal. That's the issue with him. But I like him long-term. Is Pope available? We don't really know the answer to that question. He's been back in partial training this week. Eddie Howe gives nothing away. if you've held Pope this long, I would be inclined just to hold him a little bit further. I would be inclined just to hold him more. Because if you've not sold him, you've probably lost the value, and he will come back in once he's fit. Would I recommend using triple captain this week? Probably. I don't think next week's much better, unless you're very set on Cunha. Triple captain Haaland this week or next week? I'd probably do it this week. Sunderland have a good defence. I'd rather triple captain against Forest than against Sunderland. One second, sorry. My brother is asking me what to do with his team. He's on wildcard this week. If I have both Gui and Chalobah, would I transfer both of them out? Or at least one of them anytime soon? No, I think Mark Guiu and Chalobah, they're my top 5 defenders to buy this week. Yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be doing that. I think they were both in my top 7 defenders from my video on Friday, so no. Dead search for free hit 29. I mean, without the United players, it's a bit difficult. Cunha definitely. I mean, Haaland definitely. Probably Ekitike. You probably go triple Liverpool. You probably go Ekitike, Szoboszlai, Van Dijk again. You probably go triple Arsenal. You probably do go triple United like Dalot, Cunha. The thing is, the free hit next week suddenly doesn't look as good because most of us own Cunha, whereas people wanted to free hit 19 owning Bruno to buy Cunha, whereas now there's no other United players to buy. Squirrel71, thank you for joining as a base tier member. Welcome to the channel. -4 for Senesi to Van Dijk. Probably not. No. I can tell you my brother's wildcard if you'd like. Someone asking in the chat, what did I advise? He's gone... He's kept Thiago. He's gone Wilson, Cunha, Foden, Saka midfield with Pot, Haaland, Ekitike, Thiago up front, Calafiori, O'Reilly, Michael Keane, Mukiele, Malik Chow with Sanchez and Dubravka in goal. Gordon, yeah, I don't think Gordon's minutes are safe enough. Richards to Keane or roll and play Heaven versus Newcastle. I quite like Richards long term. This is the reason I want to keep Richards, which I understand might not make that much sense. But from game week 19 onwards, I think he's a pretty good squad player. Fulham at home, Villa at home, Sunderland away, Chelsea at home's not that great, but then it's Forest, Brighton, Burnley, Wolves. I think he's just quite a good long-term pick. I think that's where I'm at with Richards. I think he's just quite a nice long-term hold. So I'd rather sell Anderson and I'd rather sell Rodon. If I had the free hit left, would I play it this week? I would, because it would get me out of the situation of having made early transfers. Because if I played the free hit now, I'd get Saka back. And now I would be losing value on Bruno to Cunha, but I wouldn't really have lost anything now. So if I had it in my team, I would be playing the free hit, definitely. Bench boosting, would I do Richards to Anderson for a -4? No. A hit for a defender on bench boost is not really worth it. Is FPL going to be your full-time job? FPL has been my full-time job for 2 years now. I used to work in market research. We basically look at products and decide what brands should do with them. It was really interesting. I used to really enjoy it. Well, I used to really enjoy it. I thought that sounded like I didn't love it, but no, I would still probably be there if I wasn't doing this now, but I wouldn't change this for the world. As always at Christmas, thank you very much for the support. You did it, but is it worth to do Saka to Rice? I wouldn't have done it if I knew Bruno was going to get injured. Yeah. No. So back to triple captain Haaland or Ekitike. I'd be on Haaland. Best game week 18 free hit. Triple Liverpool, triple Arsenal, maybe triple City, and maybe Sunderland in defence if you can afford it. And yeah, Sunderland, maybe addition there. And then maybe Cunha. Help with a bench boost this week or next. 0.7 in the bank. You've got Sanchez, Dubravka, Senesi, Estev. If you've got everyone fit and available, apart from Vifa, you could just do Vifa to Potts or Vifa to Enzo Lafay and play your bench boost. I would just get it done. I think a lot of people have wished they've bench boosted earlier. And I think if you've got a decent enough bench this week, I would just play it and not try and shoehorn it in next week unless you've got maybe someone like Richards who might be back next week. The best game week 18 mid other than Foden, Rice, Saka. Saka, Cunha would be the fourth. Ekitike and Rice or Cunha and Wirtz. Ekitike, Rice, I'd say. Triple captain, Ekitike or Haaland. If it was me, my triple captain would be on Haaland if I still had it left. Probably would be playing it. I should roll. I'm going to be selling Bruno. I mean, I'm not rolling because I've already made 2 transfers on Saturday night, which feels so long ago now when I sold Saka. When I sold Saka. When would I take a -4? When would I? If you've got a player in your starting 11 that's either injured or you have no cover for, then I would. But apart from that, I'd be trying not to at the moment. When do chips have to be used by? You've got 2 more game weeks left to use your chips. So game week 18 and game week 19, you have to have used all of your remaining chips. Bringing Keane this week for Senesi. Yes, I quite like that as a long-term pick. Yeah. Is Chiesa worth the risk on a free hit? Probably not. I don't think he's nailed. It could even be Frimpong right wing. I wouldn't be going Chiesa, no. No, I wouldn't. Play Cunha or Voltemada this week. I'd go Cunha, I think. Why Haaland over Ekitike? I just trust Haaland much more. I don't trust Liverpool enough to put the captaincy armband anywhere near them. If without Szoboszlai, without, of course, Salah, Gakpo, we don't fully know, Isak. If there was all of this, I wouldn't be surprised if they just, win 1-0, 2-1 or something like that. So I like having Ekitike, but yeah, not captain for me. Who's a good cheap option for Enzo Fernandez? Harry Wilson. If not, just go down to someone like an Enzo Lafay or a Potts, depending on how often you have to play them. If you have to play them every week, buy Harry Wilson. If you have to play them occasionally, buy Enzo Lafay. If you have to never play them, buy Potts. Why am I so high on Cunha this week? It's more that I think he's the best over the next 4. Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away over the next 4. And a lot of us have to buy a midfielder this week because Bruno's injured. So, Merry Christmas, FPL Hype. Thank you very much for your super chat. Would I do, and Dustin has asked, Wilson, Cunha versus Rice. I wouldn't sell Harry Wilson. If I had to buy Cunha or Rice now, I think Cunha's probably better. Anderson, Chalobah or Mukiele. Mukiele. Home to Leeds this week. Think's great. Those of you who have got Sunderland defenders in your team, think it looks great this week. Why not Richards to Keane? I could do it, but I think Richards is quite a nice long-term option. I'd rather do Rodon to Keane, but I can't do that because I might end up needing the money next week. for something else. And Burnley have a habit of wiping out clean sheets for us at the moment. So I'm just going to have to hope that they score again. Because I don't expect much from Rodon, Anderson or Richards, to be honest. So I could do Rodon to Keane. It's just what it potentially locks me out of next week. Because if I do... Hang on. Let me just try a couple of things. So if I was to do the Bruno to Cunha move... But then next week I decide... What am I sorted by? Sort by price. Right, so if I do that, but then... And I do Rodon to Keane, right? But then next week I decide... Oh, you know what, actually? I want Saka back. So then I go, all right, well, I'm going to do Semenyo to Saka. And Raya... See, I'm 0.1 short. I'm 0.1 short of those transfers. Now, I could just sell Anderson instead, but... Could just sell Anderson instead. Are any of them predicted to change in price tonight that I might gain a bit of value? No. No one in my team's predicted to even go close. Semenyo's not. Semenyo and Anderson would be the only two, and they're not expected to go close. Unless Saka was going to drop, but which he's not either. So I'd be 0.1 short of those transfers, which is really annoying, which is probably why I won't do the Michael Keane transfer this week. Probably not. Justin Wilson. I won't read that out because I haven't seen the source. Sunderland is so overlooked. Get the defence and Rolf's in. Yeah, I think those with Sunderland defence this week are looking good. It's a great fixture. Home to Leeds. Let's just hope Calvert-Lewin can keep scoring. Why is no one talking about Grealish? I think was 7th in my top midfielders to buy. I agree. I think he's quite a good option and he's just cheaper than all of the others. Like, we're all scrounging around for... Cunha I think is better than Grealish, and I think Rodgers probably is, but he's cheaper than them. Sell one of Minter or Wilson this week. I'd sell Minter, definitely. Minter is the worst option out of the two. Am I captain Haaland to be safe, or you're not sold on Ekitike outscoring him? I'm not sold on Ekitike outscoring him. If they both scored once, I wouldn't be surprised. Do I think Ekitike's got more in his locker? I don't know. I think Haaland is the safe pick, but also I'm not convinced Ekitike will outscore him. Would I do Saka, Gu, and Livramento to Grealish, Ekitike, and Michael Keane? -4 and bench boost. Yeah, I don't mind those moves. I mean, you're selling Saka there, which isn't ideal, but the other general transfers are good. Where am I thinking of selling Minter? So either you sell him this week or you keep him for the next two, because the Brighton fixtures in 19 and 20 are pretty good. So you either sell in 18 or you sell in 21, depending on how long you want to keep him for. Because if you keep him past this week, you're going to see the fixtures in the next two and you're probably just going to hold on to him. Wirtz or Rodgers? I'd go Wirtz short term, but long term Rodgers. You're on free hit. Should I keep Harry Wilson or buy Tavernier/Xhaka? I probably would keep Harry Wilson and hope he plays and have a good first sub, even if it's like a Mukiele at home to Leeds or something like that, first sub. Why not sell Anderson? I could do Anderson to Keane. I just think just the extra transfers are just more useful to me next week than buying Keane this week, I think. I am just really cautious that he's going to lose his place, and I don't love that. I mean, it might not be until game week 24, 25, in which case it's okay. but I don't like the idea of buying a player really I've got to sell. And I might be in a position where I could get Tarkowski instead. And then I've just got the better long-term pick. So, yeah, I could also do that. I could go Anderson to Keane. But I think I'm just going to play it really boring from here. Yeah, Alderete is a really nice, cheap option. I agree. A great entry point for them as well with Leeds at home. Ekitike is not on pens. McAllister is. Wolves part the bus. I mean, it could be McAllister. It probably will be McAllister, but it could be Ekitike. I don't think people are buying Ekitike just because they think he's on pens. You just have a feeling United gets smashed by Newcastle today. Well, if that's your feeling and it's right, then don't buy Cunha and either gamble against it or just don't buy Cunha and hope you're right on it. I wouldn't be surprised if United lost. Get smashed, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. Petrovic and Semenyo for Vert and Dubravka. No, I wouldn't sell Petrovic, Semenyo for Vert, Dubravka. Not really. Not this week. I'd rather save it and do Semenyo to someone else next week. I'm just not that much of a fan of the Verts pick. I might be proved wrong and he'll score this week and then I'll be proved wrong. But yeah, I'm just not sold on it, really. Just not really sold on it. Pickford or Dubravka on free hit. You're still confused. If you've got the money, I would go Pickford. I would go Pickford over Dubravka if you've got the money. But I think Dubravka is a really nice option if you need a cheaper option. Like, let's say your squad value is lower, or let's say you're going for Ekitike, you're going for Foden, Semenyo, Saka, Vert. Like, let's say you're going for the lot, then maybe. But yeah, I'm just having a look if there's anything on Twitter in terms of team news. If anyone sees anything, then of course please do tag me on Twitter and I will do my best to see it. Nothing yet. Buy Rice or Cunha this week or both for a hit? Probably just Cunha, I think. Cunha's probably better this week. Should I bench Richards or Miley? I'd play Richards over Miley, and if Miley subs in, then you can. I don't think Richards will end up playing. You're 25k. Would I sell Bruno for Cunha, Vert for a hit? If Wilson Richards didn't play, I will play with 10. Then yes, definitely do the hit, because I don't think Richards will play. We'll bench one between Virgil van Dijk, Keane, Calafiori, and Ballard. I mean, probably... I might say Calafiori there. Brighton's probably the team I expect most likely to play. Most likely to score. It's either him or Michael Keane. Harry Potts. Yes, best 4.4 Potts of West Ham. He's probably better than Miley. I think Miley's probably better at the moment. He's getting a lot of minutes for Newcastle. But long term, I wouldn't expect that so much. You can sell 3 amongst Ilman and Guiu, Enzo, Minter, Rice, and Bruno G and Stack. Oh, Rice, Bruno G, Stack, Foden and Stack, Bowen and Potts. I would just go Bowen and Potts, probably. Would I sell Minter to Verts for bench boost? Your suggestions, please. I would love to sell Minter if you had him. I would probably be looking to move him on. I'm not sure Verts is the best replacement. I'm not quite as set on it as maybe other people are, but yeah. Yeah, I think Verts is fine short term. Do I think he's perfect long term? No, not really, but... Would I start Keane or Mukiele? Probably Mukiele over Keane. Play the one at home. Merry Christmas, Harry. Merry Christmas to you and everyone else. Do I think that Lewis Potter was a one-hit wonder, or is he genuine consideration as an attacking defender, considering his price is 4.8? I think he's a one-hit wonder. The fixtures coming up for them are not nearly as good as that one. So, yeah. Yeah, I think his points are gone. I wouldn't go chasing that now. Should I start Reece or Reinders this week? I'd play Reece James. The thing with Reinders, I would honestly sell him because every week you've got this same decision of will he play, do I start him or do I not? And I just don't think the points are good enough to make it worth your while when he does start. So I would just play Reece James and I'd be looking to sell Reinders. You have Keane on the bench or a cheaper defender on free hit. I would have Keane. I think that's not, if you've got the money, then yeah. If you've got the money for a good bench like Keane, then I would. Dewsbury Hall, Bruno, Raul out, Cunha, Guiu and Wirtz in for -4. Was going to do Cunha, Guiu next week, but will be priced out. I mean, you're not going to be priced out because you can do it tonight after the game and you won't be priced out. So you could just wait, but if you want the players this week, then you can just take the hit. If Wilson doesn't start, will he stay off? I expect Wilson to either start or not be in the squad, but he could technically be benched. That's not impossible for Wilson this week. Bowen is the one. If Bowen scores, I'll be both very happy because I've recommended him a lot over the past couple of weeks, but then I will be pained because I should have brought him into my team. I should have brought him myself. Bowen or Cunha long term. I'd probably take Bowen long term over Cunha. But I don't really want to mess up my squad structure. I could go Bruno to Bowen this week. Bruno to Potts, Guiu to Bowen and not go Cunha. And then just do Semenyo to Cunha next week. The thing is I'm more certain that for the next few I want Cunha for the squad structure than I am that I want Bowen. But I could do Bruno to Potts, Guiu to Bowen. I think I'm going to stick with Bruno to Cunha though. Would I do Senesi to Keane or Tarkowski? You've got plenty of money. Would I do Senesi to Keane or Tarkowski? If you've got the money, I'd go Tarkowski and just keep him as a better long-term play and not have to worry about it, I think. Merry Christmas. Thank you for the content. No worries. Thank you very much for watching. Hello, everyone. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe. We are just 20 minutes away from the deadline. Thank you all very much for joining. Play Gay. Yes, I would. I think he's fine this week. He's also very good for DEFCON. Minter has 2 great fixtures after Chelsea, Harry. He does, but he's not done anything recently. I think you either sell him this week or you end up keeping him for the next 3 because those next 2 games for Minter are good, but you probably would... you're probably going to want to hold him if you get to next week. So either you sell him this week or you end up keeping him for 3. Would I sell Saka and Thiago for Ekitike and Cunha or sell Bruno now? I'd just sell Bruno. I'd sell Bruno. I wouldn't sell Saka if you don't need to now. On a free hit, would I play 2? Cunha, Semenyo, Grealish or Wilson? On free hit, I probably would go Cunha, Semenyo and not go Wilson on free hit just because... I wouldn't want to take the risk there. Is it a huge mistake if I think Ekitike will outscore Haaland and captain Ekitike? No, if you think Ekitike is the highest scoring player this week, then I would captain him. I'm just not certain that he is. And you can't be annoyed with yourself if he doesn't do well because... yeah, if that's what you think and you trust your gut, then go for it. Then go for it. On bench boost this week, you've got 3 free. Saka, Hincapié, Guiu to Rise, Keane, Ekitike, or Hincapié, Thiago to Ekitike, Keane. I would just do Hincapié, Thiago and bench boost with Guiu. Yeah. MLS, thank you for your super chat. Didn't answer the question. Would I do 1 free transfer, Bruno Fernandes to Wirtz, and then in game week 19... Minter to Cunha, game week 20 roll, Wirtz to Gordon. Yes, I'm just not sure Wirtz is that much better. Like, I'd rather just go Gordon. I think I'd just do Wirtz to Gordon. Sorry, not I just go straight to Gordon and take the punt on it. I'm just not certain that Wirtz is worth going to for a few weeks in order to jump off. But I'm not a huge Wirtz fan right now in terms of buying him in FPL. But start Reinders or Wilson. Is selling Senesi key? Start Reinders or Wilson? I'd definitely start Harry Wilson. And I would sell Senesi to Michael Keane if you can. Yeah, I think Michael Keane is definitely better than Senesi for the next few. Triple captain Haaland this week or next? I'd probably do it this week. I think Sunderland are better than Forest defensively. Bruno to Cunha, that's the plan. Yeah, I'm just waiting because they are, of course, the early kickoff. They are, of course, the early kickoff. So interesting quotes from Arnie Slot that he can play Chiesa through the middle. Oh, I'm seeing why people are talking about Timber, but Timber and Hincapié are the two not in the training photos for Arsenal, but Arsenal leave players out of training photos all the time, so I'm not gonna worry about that now. I mean, if Timber, let's say Timber doesn't play against Brighton, I will just sell him. I'll sell him and I'll buy Saka. Can I please add Rice, Thiago, and Rodgers to the benching ranking? They'd be probably above most. I think I'd play them over all of them. Virgil van Dijk or Frimpong, please. Van Dijk, unless you're on free hit, and then you could probably go Frimpong. But I would only go Frimpong if you're on free hit. News on Estev, nothing, unfortunately. It was just a slight knock, though. So if you want to start him, you can. Is Alcaraz at Everton worth a punt on bench boost currently? I think he's an all right, cheap option. I'm just not sure how much I'd really want to be relying on him every week. I'm not sure he's worth the money over just a cheap option or someone like an Enzo Laffi. If you wanted a differentials for free hit this week, I mean, I'd go Bowen. I'd probably go Palmer. I'd go Sunderland. I'd go maybe a different options at Arsenal. I'd still go City, but maybe you'd go Cherky. I'd probably stick with Thiago then. You'd probably go Grealish. Those are probably the options you're looking at if you're looking for differentials. Why is there no love for Mason Mount? I'm not sure I trust him to score enough goals this season. Basically. JP. Merry Christmas. You've got Bergie, Timber, back 5-4-3. One and Minter Anderson would be my fourth midfield. I'd play Anderson over the defender Anderson. Probably. Palmer to Saka. No, I don't think I would. Palmer looks like he's going to play 90. Saka's also fine, but I'm not sure I'd be switching between the two of them just yet. Would I bench Wilson over Rice, Thiago, and Rodgers? No, I'd play Wilson over Rodgers. What happens if Richards comes off the bench for 10 minutes as a bit of a test? I just don't see that. Either he's fit enough to play or he's not. Basically. I don't see that happening, personally. I mean, it could happen, I suppose, but... -4 for Enzo to Grealish on bench boost. No. I probably would just bench boost with Enzo. I'm not sure I'd take a hit to buy Grealish. Thiago to Voltemada. Also probably not this week. I just keep Thiago. I think Thiago's fine. I think there's been more sales for Thiago this week than I thought there'd be. But I guess it's because a lot of people were selling Bruno and they got a bit of money. So you could buy Ekitike from Thiago, but you couldn't buy Ekitike from a cheaper forward. So that's why lots of people have done it. The plan still remains Bruno to Cunha unless there's anything between now and the deadline in order to change my mind. Nothing else on Twitter at the moment. Nothing of importance, really, team news-wise. Cunha in for Bruno. Yeah, that's the plan for me. Yes. That's the plan, unless there's anything on Twitter in the next 10 minutes, or probably not even that, 5 minutes or so to change my mind on that transfer. Enzo replacements. If you're going cheaper, there aren't very many. If you're going cheaper. It's really only Harry Wilson, or you dead a spot and you go to like Enzo Lafay, or you go to like Potts and then upgrade your third forward. That's about the only downgrade you can do, because all the others are more expensive than him. I was actually looking at the list yesterday and I literally couldn't find a midfielder at that price that I would even be considering this week. Would I play Wilson, Coyote, or Rodon? If you've got Harry Wilson, I would definitely be playing him. Yeah, if you've got Harry Wilson, I'd play him. If you've got Hincapié, I'd play him. If you've got Richards, I don't think he'll play. And yeah, there's always one injured player that I keep forgetting and I can't even remember who it is. Which Anderson do I play? I play midfielder Anderson over defender Anderson, I think, this week. And yeah, I'd play Elliot Anderson over Anderson of Fulham. Is Rice worth it to get Bowen and Cunha? Yeah. I mean, that is technically what I could do. I could do Bruno. I'd have to sell Anderson. So the thing is with Timber as well, I'm just going to make the one transfer. I'm not going to go piling in this week. Things might be really clear for me what to do next week. No Saka, I know. As much as I wish I had Saka back, but yeah. Will I keep Saka if you knew the Bruno injury? Yes, I would have done Bruno to Cunha, Thiago to Ekitike, and then another transfer to free up the money if I'd have known Bruno got injured. Semenyo and buy Enzo. I wouldn't buy Enzo. Definitely wouldn't buy Enzo. But Enzo is not worth the money over a 4.5 million midfielder at the moment. So, Bowen or Wilson. If I had to pick one this week, it would be Bowen just because Wilson's a doubt. Bruno to Cunha or Rodgers. I'd go Cunha. The next two are much better for Cunha than they are for Rodgers. Chelsea away, Arsenal away for Rodgers is tough. Do I take the hit for Bruno to Cunha or just play a 5 at the back that includes Rodon, Alderete and Hincapié? I think that 5 at the back is fine. If you want to take the hit, if you're going to do the transfer next week anyway, though, I'd probably take the hit. We're into the final 10 minutes, so I probably need to do my transfer. Cherki or Wilson this week? I'd rather Harry Wilson. I'd rather Cherki because we are more confident of his minutes, I'd say. So probably Cherki this week. Although I do think Harry Wilson will play. Start Wilson or Thiago? I'd play Thiago. Can I... Thiago or Anderson first bench? Thiago's better than Anderson. Definitely. Is getting Bowen for a -4 worth it? Probably not. Am I keeping Richards? Yes, I am this week. Cunha or Rice? 4 free transfers, few injured, and bench boost next week. I'd rather Cunha than Rice, I think. Bench boost this week. Choosing to keep Anderson against City instead of using a free transfer. Thoughts? Well, I'm keeping on Anderson instead of going with a transfer to upgrade him because I just don't know if I want to go up from him to someone better and try and find the money to do Anderson to Rodgers, or do I do Anderson down to someone like a Potts? Again, all possibilities for me. Richards, I'm just going to keep him play. I don't think he'll end up playing, but if he does play, the Palace clean sheet is much higher than the Fulham one. Palace clean sheet is about 31%. And the Fulham one is 25%, and Leeds is 28%. So Palace definitely have the highest. So I'm just going to take that gamble there. Play Anderson, Rodon, or Coyote. I probably play Coyote, and then Anderson, and then Rodon. Right. Right, I need to do my transfer. Bruno to Cunha. I mean, final check of anything to change my mind. Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. It's nothing really. Nothing at all. Bottling Bowen, I know, but I just don't want to use my final 2 transfers to buy Bowen and change my squad structure to a place that I don't think is the right long-term play. I still think a front 2 is the play. Is Gu fine for a bench boost? I mean, I'm not sure he'll get on the pitch because it sounds like Delap will be back in the squad. So if you've got Gu, you're probably bench boosting with 1 point or 0 points from him. It's not the end of the world. And if you're not going to sell him next week, then you're just going to have to bench boost with 1 less. Would I pick to triple captain this week? I'd probably triple captain Haaland over Ekitike, but Ekitike feels a bit more like a triple captaincy pick because it's a better fixture. I've already bench boosted. I bench boosted in about game week 5, I think. If I have to play one, Minter or Xhaka, or take a -4 for Cunha. Minter or Xhaka, or take a -4 for Cunha. I'd play Xhaka over Minter. And probably just get Cunha next week. Start Gay or Chalobah. Right, I need to do these transfers. I'd play probably Chalobah. So you're basically saying you expect Cunha to better Rodon by 4 points or more. No, because it's a free transfer. So it's not a hit. So I hope Cunha outscores Rodon. Doesn't need to be by 4. It may well be by 4 if he scores, but yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily... It's not for a hit, so it's for free. But yeah, I'm going to have to sell Bruno anyway. Who would I play? Would I play Alderete over Timber? No, I'd play the Arsenal defender always. Wouldn't be benching a 6.5. Alderete is great, though. I'd be surprised if you've got enough other defenders that you want to play over Alderete. But if your combination is Alderete or Timber, I'd play Timber. Williams of Forest to Keane or to Van Dijk. I probably would just go to Keane. I'm not sure I'd be spending the money on Van Dijk now. Starting Hincapié or Mukiele. In that situation, I'd be tempted to play Mukiele because you've got Hincapié being a bit of a doubt. It could always be on the bench, so I probably would just go Mukiele there. Start Chalobah or Mukiele. I'd play Mukiele. And play Fulham Anderson or Tavernier. I'd play Tavernier. Start Lafille or Anderson. I'd play Lafille, Mukiele or Lewis Miley. I'd play Mukiele. Enzo. If you're selling Enzo, you've probably got to go try and go up to Rodgers. If you can't, then yeah, the ones downgrading from him are not great at the moment. So I probably would just keep him. Start Rodgers or... Sorry, I need to do my transfers right. Bruno to Cunha as the final and third transfer in a chaotic week. In a chaotic week. Right. That is that. Bruno to Cunha. I mean, what a week of transfers it's been for me, hey? But it's where we're at. Right, let's do some final quick-fire questions in the 5 minutes before the deadline. What about Gravenberch over Enzo? He's not a bad shout, but I just still don't trust him to do enough output going forward. Semenyo or Wilson? Semenyo this week. Wilson's still better long-term, but he's a doubt this week. Thoughts on Raul Jimenez for free hit? I probably wouldn't, but if you're really needing a cheap attacker, I'd rather... Yeah, I don't think I'd have him on free hit. Ekitike is captain. He's number 2 in my ranking, so if you do not trust Haaland this week, then yep. He's the next best. Xhaka or Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes. Xhaka or Gordon. Gordon for 1 week. Xhaka long term. I don't trust Gordon's minutes. Lots of questions about Hincapié. We don't know. He wasn't pictured in training, but Arsenal do that all the time, so that doesn't particularly mean anything. So I think if you've got Hincapié, I'd keep him unless you want to go to an Everton defender from him, because you're going to have to sell Hincapié anyway at some point, which means if you want to sell him this week because he's a doubt, then I think that's fine. Right. Bowen to haunt me? Quite possibly. You have Van Dijk, Keane, Timber, and Alderete. Which three do I start? Timber, Van Dijk, probably Alderete. I'd probably bench Keane. I'd want to play them all, though. Anderson or Rodon. Anderson over Rodon. Minter, Anderson, or Heaven to start. I'd play Anderson. Play Anderson or sell Richards. I'm playing Anderson and not selling Richards this week. Trossard in free hit over Wilson. I don't mind Trossard as a free hit punt if you want one. Anderson to Keane. You could do that. I don't think I'm going to do it this week. I'm hoping that Burnley score and then there's not much in it. But I still do like Keane. He's probably the best cheap defender to buy if you're looking for one this week. Thiago to Bowen for a hit. I wouldn't do that, no. Raul Jimenez or Wilson. I still prefer Wilson long term, but Wilson is a doubt. We don't really know anything on him. They said the injury's not as bad as it looked on the night, but they've got to see how he gets on. I think Harry Wilson probably ends up playing, but I don't know. Play Cunha or Wilson. I'd play Cunha over Wilson. If you've got a good alternative to Wilson, then you just take the minutes, but I would expect Harry Wilson to still play. Jake, let me take a look. With 1 minute to go, would I do Thiago and Minter to Ekitike and a 5.5 million midfielder or below from -4? Yes, I probably would just go down to either Enzo Lafay at Sunderland or Potts. Frimpong or Van Dijk on free hit. I probably would go Frimpong, but if you are even slightly concerned about his minutes, just go Van Dijk. Klein or Malik Chow. This week, probably Malik Chow. DCL or Thiago. Rodon or Anderson. Should I bench James, Hincapié, or Rodgers? Who should I bench? James, Hincapié. I'd probably bench Reece James there. -4, Semenyo and Saka, or -8 for Cunha and Rice. Semenyo and Saka is fine. Mukiele or Trafford, Mukiele. Triple captain Haaland or Ekitike. I'd be on Haaland. Rodon or Minter. I'd probably play Rodon. Ekitike or Thiago. Ekitike. Reinders or Anderson. I'd play Anderson. And Wilson to Semenyo after this game. No, because the fixtures for Bournemouth from next week turn a lot. Right, we're into the final 1 minute before the deadline. We are going to wrap up and finish answering all questions there. Go and make sure your teams are locked in. Make sure you make your transfers. Make sure you make sure your bench is in order. Your captaincy is where it needs to be. Your vice captain. Let me just refresh mine to make sure everything is fine. Make sure you've made your transfers. If you are going to head off, please do drop a like on the stream. Subscribe if you are new. Am I put off by Haaland early captain? Not really, because there's a game tonight, so it doesn't feel like too bad. But that is going to be all for game week 18. That is my team locked in. Let me at least tweet it. Game week 18. Team. So what did I do? I sold Saka, Thiago, Bruno to Rice, Ekitike, Cunha, what? Happening after 2 early transfers. 1 second. Why not start Anderson if you think Richards won't start? Because I think if there's a small chance he starts, he's a better pick. And I understand that people are like, well, you may as well just play him. Because I probably almost certainly will get the auto sub, but Fantasy challenge time. It is. Let me get it up. What is the challenge this week? Anyone know? If, by the way, there's anyone in here who's not in the leagues for either the main league or for the Fantasy Challenge League, then please do join them. The league codes will be up in the top left hand in just a moment for you. 1 second. Let me... has the top left been... There you go. Make sure you join these league codes if you haven't already. Is Game Week 21 the one where I think Game Week 20 also doesn't look great for a lot of them. Oh, I need to update the rank in the back soon screen. Yeah. Let me turn this down a little bit. Let me turn the slow mode down. There we go. Right. Plus 6 points for every big chance created. Okay. So we want to sort by big chances created. Cherky. Is it 1 per team? Probably. 1-3-1. Who? Yeah, my team looks a bit weak this week. I agree. Team looks a bit weak this week. I do agree. O'Reilly over Richards is definitely right. Who else? Rice, Bruno. So Saka's going in. We all know Saka's going in, right? And Saka's getting captain. We all know that's happening. Who else has people got? Harry Wilson. Who else is going to hurt my rank this week? Harry Wilson's going in. Anyone up front that I don't have? Igor. Guess who else is going in? Igor Thiago. Which defenders are going in? Oh, O'Reilly's definitely... Oh, I can't have... Cherky's going to have to come out. People saying Wirtz. How many big chances has Wirtz created? He's only created 2. Oh, yeah. Bowen as well. Yeah, let me take that out. And let's go 1-2-2-2. Bowen. Oh, I need a goalkeeper. And then I'm going to go Rolfs. That is going to be my fantasy challenge team. Make sure you join with the league code up above. It is 6:30 on Boxing Day, and my family are all getting ready and doing stuff. So I'm going to go and talk to them, see them. Holly said, oh, she's not feeling that well. So I'm going to go and check on everything. I'm going to wrap up the stream now, basically. We'll be back with a video on Sunday, probably, looking at the next game week starting on Tuesday. We have 4 game weeks in the space of 10 days. Anyway, thank you all. I've whittled on and stumbled by words in this outro. But anyway, thank you all very much. Have a lovely evening, and I will catch you all very soon.